Hi, my name is Amanda Terry. I'm co-founder and managing partner of ACTAI Ventures. We're an early stage venture fund investing in companies that are leveraging technology to change the world for the better. And I am so excited to be in LA and getting an opportunity to sit down with Nanxi and Tina Wojcik, who are co-CEOs of Blaze.tech, Blaze.tech. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, well, thank you again for taking the time to sit down. I love to do these just to kind of give an opportunity for some of the companies we've invested in to tell their stories as founders and what's happening, what they're excited about, if there's anything our investors can do to help. So that's really the purpose of these, and just to have fun. So maybe each of you could tell a little bit about your story in your own words, how you guys met. I know this is not your first entrepreneurial journey together, so now Nanxi, do you want to start and then go to Tina? Or
Yeah,
okay, great.
That sounds great. So I grew up in Colorado, went to school at UC Berkeley, where I did not think I was going to be an entrepreneur. It was very accidental, but I was an out-of-state student, so I needed to figure out how to pay for tuition. And so it was lots of hacking and hustling. So it was like I was building websites and starting projects for fun, just to literally make money. And it was very much after having done your traditional internships, like I did an internship at Goldman Sachs, I did sales and trading on a municipal derivatives desk at Citigroup, all of these things where I'm like, you know what, I actually really just like building stuff. And that was something I really enjoyed. And that's when I landed into kind of actually building companies. So this first company that I built with Tina is called Implug. Before then, we successfully sold that and then started Blaze
And when
together.
did you guys start Implug?
Started Implug 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Tina, tell me a little bit about your story, and then how did you guys meet too?
Yes. So I'm originally from Poland. I graduated computer science. I've always wanted to be a developer. That was my passion since I was very little. I loved Microsoft. That was the best company for me in the world at that time. So I was thrilled when I got hired from Poland to work at Microsoft in Redmond. And I was very lucky to be one of the very early members of a SQL Azure team. That was at the stages where everybody was still like wondering if that's even possible. So it was very, very small team and very senior people, and was an amazing learning opportunity for me. So I was really happy working for Microsoft, but I always knew I wanted to have my own company. That was not a question. That was like, since I was 5 years old, I had to be on my own. So starting my company, and we got into a startup accelerator in LA. And it was in the times when everybody worked in the office, and that's how we met Nanxi and her co-founders. And from the very beginning, it was very clear we had very complementary skills, like with me being very much in like the product and technology, and her being like the sales and like marketing and business. So yeah, we just like reshuffled and we decided to do Unplug together, and that was a great decision because it took a little bit longer than we thought. I think at the beginning, everybody thinks it's gonna take a year or two. So 8 years later, we sold Unplug. And then
Congratulations. And that was fairly recently. When did you guys start?
That was a couple years
So
ago.
we started in 2012 and we sold it in 2021. And as soon as we sold it, I mean, there was no other really choice in my mind than like having another company. And I think Nanxi was the same. So we started Blaze, and we are doing Blaze.
Okay, so obviously no code, low code is a very hot area of the market now. How did you guys come up with the idea for Blaze.tech?
So, I mean, being a developer, I love being a developer. I like developing stuff. But like, you basically, as you get more senior, you do the same thing over and over. And I think this is the case for most of the developers. And it's hard to justify that this is really the best use of my skills to be, we're implementing a table for the fifth time. And like everybody on the team is doing the same thing. At the same time, in the company that we were running, there was always stuff that needed to be done, right? And everybody was focusing on the product that we wanted to ship, but there was the whole thing, operations, that needed software as well, but no one would want to spend time building it because it's boring and because you're like, we're doing the same things. So kind of the combination of two things. One, wanting to make the developers more efficient and working like on interesting stuff versus like the boilerplate, and two, like letting business people to just, get something to do their work without really paying so much for developers or taking developers from working on their product.
I think adding to that, it was a recognition of what's something that is going to be a really big problem we can solve. Because after we sold the company, we had a great exit. We explored a lot of different things. We were offered opportunities to join other companies, lead other companies, and then we also thought about, okay, do we join the established company? Do we start on our own? But this problem, which was basically enabling people that didn't code to build apps, that was always in the back of our minds because of our last company, where we had half of our team were engineers, half of the team were sales folks, operations folks, marketing folks. There's always apps that they wanted. And to Tina's point, the developers weren't really motivated or excited to build some of these internal tools. And so could we do something where it eliminated all of that? And that was a very big problem. And we knew that this existed. There's a lot of tools out there that are low code, which means that you could probably do 70-80% of it without code, but to actually make the app usable, there still needs to be code. And so typically you still need to be a developer. For us, we wanted to eliminate that completely. We wanted to say, if you can describe the application you want to build, then you can go and make it happen in Blaze. And so for us, it was actually very much focused on no code, focused on being able to develop very custom applications that otherwise would require code. Because there's, like you say, there's in the no code landscape, there's a lot of companies. And I think a lot of the no code companies, it's very specific. It's like no code for forms or no code for CRMs. But if you really wanted to build something custom or have a lot of different compliance requirements, you're sort of left to, you have to use code now. And so that's what we solve for.
Amazing. So you kind of give a little recap, but for people who don't know what Blaze.tech is, give the quick pitch. What are you guys doing?
Blaze enables you to build web applications, mobile applications, all without writing any code. And what we really specialize in, and is some of our big advantages, is that you can have HIPAA-compliant healthcare applications. We have out-of-the-box enterprise security. We enable you to do integrations with anything that has an API, we can go and connect into. And then finally, we also have a team that will help you go and set up all of your applications.
So let's double click on that and maybe give me a couple or a few customer examples that you're really proud of that are using your technology.
Oh, so many. It's one of the coolest things is actually seeing all the applications that our customers are building. So as an example, we have a healthcare organization. They're actually really a healthcare startup company where I think they were evaluating, all right, do we hire a lot of developers? And I think that was the plan, but instead they are building their entire platform on Blaze. So the company is Between.Health, and they are a healthcare marketplace where you can connect with OB and gynecologists. And they've now expanded into lots of different cities, so the application lets you as the patient to schedule. And there's a form that has lots of...
Sounds like a mini ZocDoc.
Yes,
or
exactly.
Or just a Calendly for
patient
ZocDoc,
doctors. And then also providers, like the doctors are on there.
Oh, wow.
And then corporate administrators are on there. And it's very specific for OBs and gynecologists.
Wow.
And
how did they find you guys?
They found us, I think they heard about us because of our HIPAA compliance. There's really, it's very difficult and can be very complex to build something that's HIPAA compliant. So because we're out of the box, I think they were searching for HIPAA compliant applications and they found us.
Okay, so healthcare is one great example. Give me maybe a couple more that you want to highlight.
Yeah, I'll share one more if you have it.
Yeah.
So there's another one, Alistair Group. They are a big logistics company in Africa. One of the cool things for them is they've actually built all of their warehouse inventory management, client-facing and internal-facing reports all inside of Blaze. And it's a pretty significant
Wow, and they're based in Africa?
They have all of their physical locations, like the actual warehouses and all of that is in Africa, but they've got a team, a lot of corporate folks that are in the US, and they built basically this replacement. They had an existing tool and it was not very scalable. And so they needed to go and build something much more scalable. And so they found us, and they were able to launch their entire replacement application in Blaze in about, I want to say, like 2 weeks. And so it was super exciting for us, and I think also very exciting for the client.
Amazing. Okay, and Tina, give us another example if you want.
One that I like is Serenity Forge. It's a game development company, and they use this to manage their keys. So it's very much for internal tools. But they have when like media representatives or bloggers want to request some free keys, they have a form which is built in Blaze that they can request it, and then people inside of the company who can manage that, match those requests to like available keys that they have for different games, and then they can like automatically grant them the keys and email them to them. So it's kind of like a very neat little application, but working for a pretty big company,
Yes.
doing for the real needs.
Amazing. And so now you mentioned that you're integrating some AI into your solutions, already integrated. Tell me a little bit about how did that come about and what's that application look like?
Yes. From the beginning, when we set up to do Blaze, our goal was to make it like super easy. Like it cannot be low code. It has to be purely no code, and it has to be very easy to use for anybody. Now, our previous company, Emplag, was really known for that. Like we make digital signage like super easy. It was the gold standard. So we started with like, to drag and drop different things, you click, configure them, but like it's a lot of clicking. And also if you have to build an application for a regular person, even making a website is kind of challenging sometimes. So the natural next step is like, okay, instead of like clicking and finding things, I just want to describe what I want to build, and I want to have it built. So it kind of came,
like verbally describe, or
yes, verbally describe it. You can text, you can write, or you can record it.
Right.
We joke about it is because like Nanxi would build an application, and she would just call me and say like, how do I do this? And I would go and I would drag it for her. And
I love it. I love it.
Like, okay, instead of telling me that on the phone, how about you just type it to Blaze, and Blaze is going to do it for you. So that's where the AI piece comes. So that's
like a chatbot then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a chatbot, and we are adding it to different little pieces of the application. So you can describe, what data I want to show here. I want to show my tasks, right? And then I want to add a button that assign this task to another person and send them an email telling them that the task was assigned. So I can describe that, and Blaze is going to do that for you. And basically we're adding this to more and more places. And then also like the grand vision is like you would have higher and higher level of description. So as it gets more complex, you could start saying like, I want to build a customer portal for healthcare. Well, it's a little bit vague, right? So we can start with something, but then it has to become a conversation with the chat box. So there's a lot of there's a lot of AI and also UI UX, because it has to be kind of seamless experience.
So when you were first working with your initial clients, was that something that they would, like your clients would verbally tell you, and you'd have a team kind of like, as you said, like she would tell you what she needed, like your team would kind of go build that, but now are you actually able to replace some of the human elements and just use AI directly to create the technology, or is it kind of a mix of?
It's a mix right now. I think ultimately in the future, I think there's always something to be said. Human involvement is irreplaceable in a lot of different things, and I think some of the settings we have, I think that human interaction that clients really care about, like when they,
or if someone can't give a good prompt, right, it's going to be hard to get like the results they need, or maybe they need training on that, so there needs to be some human interpretation right there.
No, absolutely. So we have an implementation team that they also leverage our AI to configure different things for the client. But for some of our clients, the benefit is they say, hey, here are my mock-ups for the application I want to do, and I want it to be in a no-code environment. I want to be able to do and make changes on my own, and so they'll just share that with the implementation team, and our implementation team can actually go and help them set up everything. And in that process, they're using Blaze AI. The clients can also start working on their own apps and leverage Blaze AI, but it's a combination right now.
Amazing. Who is usually your end customer? And are they technical, or they're not technical, or it's a mix?
Yeah, I would say all of our clients are tech savvy, but most of them are not technical. In fact, most of them have, this might oftentimes be the first application they're building on their own without using any developers. And so it's very exciting for us. We make it such that you do not need to have a developer background to be able to launch applications.
Wow. And so, I mean, this is obviously your second entrepreneurial journey together. You guys have scaled businesses. You've been through different business conditions. Any advice you have for entrepreneurs on how to create, a successful company and scale? Because you've done it before.
I'll share one. And
Okay.
We'll share. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the biggest piece is finding the best people to work with. And I think none of this would have been possible if I didn't meet Tina and have her as a co-founder, and if we didn't have that team at Implug and at Blaze. We have like literally our top sales folks, our top.
I remember you hired. I was like, I love that you're hiring from your previous. Like you've worked with these people before. That's great.
Top engineers. It's a talent piece, and you know what? It seems like it's such an easy thing to do, but I have to say, in the early days when we were building the company, that wasn't the case. It was a learning process. Where before it was just like I hired my sorority sisters, and it was all of our like first jobs, which is fine, but maybe not necessarily the most skilled at whatever we were bringing them on board for, but it was learning about finding just excellent people that also have the integrity and the values shared amongst the team is also really significant for us. But the biggest takeaway for me in the learnings of that first company.
Yeah, I totally second that, and it's also much more fun to work with people who are like really competent and share the enthusiasm, have the right fit. On the product side, I would say it's important to get customers as early as possible. Like with Blaze, we literally like as soon as we had the idea, like we went to our networks and we've talked to a bunch of CEOs and like friends. Okay, what do you need? What would you use it for? And like even when we were designing the application, we were testing it to make sure it's going to work for this and this scenario. And actually, from those early people that we signed on when we didn't even have the product, we still have 2 that actually became real customers. So it works for them. So I think it's super important to like don't spend too much time trying to like come up with something
Like the
great in your
perfect
idea.
PowerPoint.
No, just
Gotta
like go
talk to
out
customers.
there and like get yourself feedback like as soon as possible and constantly.
I think we learned that from the first company too, because sometimes the sales folks, like they come up with an idea, they tell us, hey, like this customer wants, X, Y, Z, and it's okay, are they willing to pay for it? And so we had made mistakes in the past where it was like we built things and it was like we thought people were going to pay for it and it wasn't something. And then rather the existing customers would give us the best product feedback where they were like, hey, we really need to use this. We would implement this feature for them, and then it turns out, so many other customers want this too, and so ends up being, we actually put a lot of weight now to existing customers' requests because we know once we enable it, they're going to use it instead of the guesswork of, okay, if we implement it, are we going to get customers from it? Now, this may be a little bit more specific for B2B. Sometimes B2C is a little bit different in that it's hard for consumers necessarily to know what they want, but for businesses, because they attribute value to any kind of problem we solve, it's easier to get that kind of feedback.
Cool. What's kind of on the near-term horizon that you want to talk about, that you want to highlight, that you guys have been working on, or that you're most excited about at Blaze right now?
I think we are making a lot of interesting releases on the product side. So on enabling our clients to, again, just making it easier and easier for them to develop applications that are really secure. We see a lot of folks coming to us because they need the highest level of security for their data. So for example, we built Blaze Tables, which is a fully relational no-code database for our clients so that they didn't have to go and set up a separate database. And they can now store all of their data in a centralized place and then build apps on top of it. I think I'm also excited about actually just like a lot of the new teammates. We recently hired another product manager. We hired folks on the customer onboarding side.
VP of marketing.
VP of
Whoa,
marketing.
that's a big hire. Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm personally just excited about all these new folks on the team.
Me too. I have the feeling like we were getting very lucky with all our hires at
Yes.
Blaze, which wasn't the case in the first company.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. The stars are
Yeah.
aligning.
Yes, it's well, a lot of learning. Like, we have a pretty rigorous interview process that we now put in place that has helped us just get the best talent. And I think it's also really great for the
I'm curious,
applicants,
as
too.
from my entrepreneurial hat, like, can you share anything
Yes.
about that process? I think that would help also some of the other companies we work with.
To ask people to do real tasks. I mean, we always had that for developers, right? There's always a coding interview live. That's no question about that. But like, for example, now for onboarding people, we also ask them to like, hey, take as much time as you want, 2 days, 3 days, build an app. Like, it can be whatever you want, but show me what you can build, make sure it looks polished. And then we can see what people deliver. And some of them, they deliver pretty nice projects, and we can see how interested they are in the job and what they are capable of learning and just building their eye for design and like their just capability to figure things out. So and we made some really good hires. So I think, like the real practical work during the interview process is, for me, it's key.
It is
I like that feedback. Yeah, it's great.
It's like the funnel too, like a sales funnel for candidates as well. It's creating the funnel of making sure we are posting in the right places for that kind of applicant that we're looking for, and then also getting recommendations from people in our network. Now we know we have a very robust network of talented people where they're only or they're incentivized to recommend their friends who are also talented or people that they've worked with. So adding to these interview components that are, I think, atypical for a lot of positions that we've seen or what other folks do, it is giving them an example of what their day-to-day may look like and then having them complete some of those tasks. So for this VP marketing interview process, we literally had them do things of figuring out, how would you go and redesign this page on the site? How would you go about, and we really save this for the final candidates because we know it's a lot on us and it's a lot of the candidates.
But also it shows like how excited they are to work with you, how much effort they put in, and also if they are even on track or how much it would actually need to be managed into a different scenario if it wasn't something that was aligned with what you guys were thinking.
It seems like sometimes this stuff seems like silly, like very, very simple, but like there was so many cases where we like totally flipped our favorite to someone else just based on that, because we had the great conversations with someone and we gave them this very
little
test, and the results were not great.
And we also something unique we also do is we put everybody through this like mini math and numbers and data test. Like, we have everyone do it, and it's your kind of like basic high school kind of math or like SAT questions, but we do that because we're very numbers oriented in the organization, and we want people to feel comfortable with that, and so that's something we filter for. And that's also helped, like, where this person is great at interviewing, like answer the question really well, but then when it comes to some of the tasks or like some of the basic math, it's just like, oh no, this person can't do basic math. It helps us filter.
When you say numbers, you mean like being data driven as an organization, or?
Yes, we are very numbers oriented, data driven. I think we want folks to also be very data driven themselves. I think because working with web applications and developing web applications we are trying to make it easy, but it's still, you have to be logical and you have to think through processes a lot. This is just one test that helps us filter for folks that have comfort in that arena.
Wow, amazing. So anything that our investors could help you with? Anything you'd like to ask of the investors?
I think anyone right now who wants to develop a internal or even external facing applications, and there's complexity there. They need third-party integrations. They should absolutely take a look at Blaze. We can at least give them an option and help them think through, okay, what are all the requirements and any kind of obstacles they might come across in developing the app. So I would say, share Blaze.
Yes.
And then especially if you're healthcare, then definitely, I think for healthcare companies. So many of them are telling us, oh, I wish we knew about you way sooner before we spent a bunch of money, hiring a dev shop to go build
Developers,
something and
yeah.
now doing it the proper way inside of Blaze.
Amazing. Well, thank you both for coming today, and it was wonderful to just hear a little bit more about your journey and what's going on with Blaze. I'm excited about the AI stuff. That is really exciting. And yeah, definitely check out Blaze.tech if you are looking for a no-code, low-code platform for your organization. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.